1954. A driveway in Muncie, Indiana. Saturday morning, a little after 7. A man is lying on his back on the concrete, halfway under a Ford, with a work light hooked to the bumper and a coffee cup going cold on the step behind him. It's cold enough that his breath shows. His son, 9 years old, is sitting on the bottom step in a jacket, holding a socket wrench with both hands because it's heavier than it looks. The man puts his hand out from under the car. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't say, "Hand me the wrench." He doesn't say the size. He doesn't say, "Please." He just puts his hand out, and the boy gets it wrong. He puts the wrong thing in his father's hand. The hand goes still for a second, then sets it down on the concrete and stays open, waiting. The boy tries again, wrong again. The hand sets it down and waits. Third time he gets it right. The hand closes around it and disappears back under the car. Nothing is said, no praise, no correction, no lesson, just the sound of a socket catching on a bolt. By the time that boy is 11, he will know every tool in that box by weight, in the dark, from a hand sticking out from under a car. And nobody will ever have taught him, not with words. That's what this is about. 15 things every 1950s father taught his son without ever saying them out loud. Not lectures, not talks, not the speech about becoming a man that most people imagine happened and mostly didn't. These were transmitted in silence by a man who probably could not have explained what he was doing if you'd asked him. And number 9 is the one that most men my age didn't realize they'd been taught until their own father was gone. Let's start with the first thing that hand under the car was teaching. Number 15, how to be useful without being asked. The boy on that step was not assigned a job. Nobody said, "Come help me with the car." He came out because his father went out and he sat down close enough to be reached. That was the whole arrangement. You put yourself near the work, you paid attention, and when a hand came out, you filled it. Nobody made a chore chart. Nobody negotiated. A boy in 1954 learned to read a job in progress and find the place where he could be useful in it, and he learned it by getting it wrong 100 times while a patient hand waited on the concrete. What he was absorbing was a posture toward work that lasted his entire life. You don't wait to be told. You look at what's happening, you figure out what's needed, and you put yourself there. The modern equivalent is a boy who has been asked 40 times to take out the trash and still needs to be asked the 41st. Not because he's lazy, because nobody ever put a hand out and let him figure out what went in it. He was managed instead of included, and a managed boy learns to wait for instructions. Number 14, that your name is on everything you touch. A father in the 1950s didn't say, "Our family has a reputation." He didn't have to. The boy watched him at the hardware store where the man behind the counter knew him. He watched him at the bank, at church, at the gas station. He watched what happened when his father walked into a room in that town. And the boy understood, without a word of it being explained, that his father's name was a kind of currency, that it had been earned slowly, and that it could be spent by anyone in the family who carried it. That is why a boy in 1954 who got caught doing something stupid was not primarily afraid of punishment. He was afraid of the sentence that started with, "You are so-and-so's boy, aren't you?" That sentence did more to shape behavior in mid-century America than every disciplinary system we have invented since. Today, most boys grow up without ever seeing their father operate inside a community that knows him. Dad works somewhere far away. doing something the boy couldn't explain, among people the boy has never met. The name means nothing outside the house because the boy has never once seen it mean anything. Number 13. How much a thing should cost. He never sat the boy down and explained money, but the boy stood next to him at the counter enough times to absorb an entire economic philosophy. He watched his father look at a price and put the thing back. He watched him buy the good one when the good one mattered, a saw, a pair of boots, a coat for winter, and the cheap one when it didn't. He watched him ask what something was made of and where. He watched him walk out of a store empty-handed and not seem bothered. What the boy learned was the difference between price and cost. A $3 hammer you replace every year is not cheaper than an $8 hammer you leave to your son. His father never said that. He just kept buying the $8 hammer, using it for 30 years while the boy watched. Most men now learn about money from inside a debt at 26, the hard way. Their fathers may have been perfectly responsible, but they did it out of sight on a laptop behind a shut door. There is nothing to watch, and you cannot absorb what you cannot see. Number 12. What to do with your hands when something goes wrong. Here's the moment. Something breaks. The pipe under the sink lets go. The car won't turn over on a Tuesday. The power's out and it's 20 degrees. The boy is standing right there, watching his father's face. And the thing he's watching for, the only thing that matters, is what happens in the first 10 seconds. Does the man go quiet and start looking at it? Does he swear once and then start looking at it? Does he panic? Does he blame somebody? A 1950s father, whatever else he was usually a man who went quiet and started looking at it, and his son, standing there, took a photograph of that, kept it for 50 years, pulled it out every single time something went wrong in his own life, because that's what a father transmits in an emergency. Not competence, the boy can't do any of it yet. Composure. The information that a problem is a thing to be looked at rather than a thing to come apart over. That single image, a man going quiet and getting down on the floor to look at the pipe, does more for a boy than any conversation about resilience ever conducted. Number 11. That work isn't supposed to feel good. Nobody in 1954 told a boy to find his passion. Nobody suggested that the right job would feel like play, or that meaning was something you were owed by your employer. The boy simply watched his father get up in the dark 5 or 6 days a week and go do something that was, by all appearances, not fun. Watched him come home tired, watched him do it again the next day, watched him do it for 25 years without any indication that he expected it to be otherwise. And the lesson that settled in, not stated, never stated, was that work is what you do so that the people in your house can eat and sleep warm, that it is honorable precisely because it is not always pleasant, and that a man who does it steadily for decades has accomplished something whether or not anyone claps. I want to be careful here because there's a version of this that curdles into misery worship. Plenty of those men were exhausted and some were harder than they needed to be, but the core was sound. Dignity lives in the doing, not the enjoying. A generation raised to expect work to feel like fulfillment has a harder time getting out of bed on the ordinary Tuesdays, and there are a great many ordinary Tuesdays in a life. Number 10. How to be around other men. The barbershop, the lodge hall, the bleachers, the garage where 3 men stood around one open hood for an hour and fixed a problem that would have taken one man 20 minutes. The boy was brought along, not to participate, to be present, and what he was learning was the entire unwritten grammar of male company. When you talk and when you don't. How to insult a friend in a way that means affection. How much space to give a man who's having a hard year. That you can stand next to someone for 40 minutes without saying anything and have that be a complete conversation. None of this can be taught in words. It has to be sat through dozens of times, hundreds of hours, as the smallest person in the room. The boys who didn't get those hours became men who find other men baffling, who don't know how to enter a group, who mistake silence for hostility and teasing for cruelty. A lot of modern male loneliness starts here, not in adulthood, but in the absence of 1,000 boring hours in rooms full of grown men. That's 5. The next 10 are where it gets closer to the bone, and number 9 is the one I'd hand to any father watching this. Stay with me. Number 9, that you will be watched when you think nobody's looking. This is the one. A boy sees his father when the audience is gone. That's the whole secret of fatherhood, and almost nobody understands it while it's happening. He sees whether his father is the same man at home that he is at church. He sees how he talks to his wife when he's tired and nobody's visiting. He sees whether he keeps a promise that nobody would have known about. He sees what he does with the extra change when the cashier gets it wrong in his favor. He sees whether the anger that gets swallowed at work comes out in the kitchen. None of it is a lesson. All of it is a lesson. And here is the part that gets men in their 60s suddenly quiet. It is never the speeches we remember. Fathers in that era gave very few speeches, and the ones they gave have largely evaporated. What survived, what got installed permanently, is the unwatched behavior, the small consistencies. The thing he did on an ordinary Wednesday when he had no reason to think it mattered, that's the inheritance, not the advice. The Wednesday. If you're a father, that's either the most encouraging thing you'll hear this week or the most uncomfortable. And honestly, it should be both. Number 8. How to lose. The boy lost constantly.